all praises to the Most High in Christ. Uh, Fair use. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances is made for fair use for the purposes of such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. We will be doing most of those things today. It's intended for those things. We will be making commentary on this material. Fair use is a permit by is fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. So what we're doing here is attempting to show our people, the Israelites, how to resist the false jurisdiction of the courts. You I'm gonna just let you start listening to the video. We're gonna stop. It's 14 minutes. We're gonna run through it right quick, and you're gonna have to watch it over. You're gonna have to write it down or whatever. You don't want to watch it and give me no views. That's fine. I'm not out here for that. I'm out here so my people can learn how to resist this devil in the legal system because they don't know how. They don't know who they are. They don't know that they are free. Basically, when you resist this jurisdiction false jurisdiction that they claim over you, you're not free. When you're saying I'm free and you don't have the right to take my God-given rights away from me, and I will never give them up to be a false citizen, a minority of yours, so you can play God over me and give me privileges and tell me what to do, and for me to operate in a fake system, a fake territory. The territory that they claim is not even real. It's on paper. It's on paper. It's not real. Maybe they can bully their own people, their citizens around with that jurisdiction, which they can because they brought them over here. They submit to their governing. We don't. We never did. Okay? So if we are free, then our enemies, colonizers who are over here who had us in captivity, have to start operating and acting like they respect their oath and their offices. Okay? All right, let's listen to this. Okay.
What really got me in here was
Let's go ahead and let that play.
I was on the golf course on an unusually warm day in October, and I just about passed out. And I said, you know what? This is not subject for hearing.
All right, we're gonna run it back and get. I want you to hear everything he's saying. Listen, this is very important. This will stop your brothers from getting killed. The 2/3 or whatever. If they know this, then this will stop them from getting killed. Because what is it gonna do? Remember I said if that last video, where the police locked the Israelites up, if he didn't know how to challenge the jurisdiction, if he didn't know how to do this in court, then he was just gonna surrender to the charges. Okay? All right. Listen to this.
We are going to show you how to enforce your right to a fair hearing and to win your ticket in the process. To make this plan work for you, you must listen and speak it out loud to cement it in your brain and tongue so it becomes crystal clear in your own mind and you will be prepared for any response. You
must learn this method. It's simple. You can watch the video, you can take notes, you can write the steps down and learn them. And then when you do, you must challenge everybody who say they have jurisdiction over you, police, everybody, judges, whatever. It's just like the Romans came and got Jesus, right? They came and got him. They didn't have jurisdiction over him. They were terrorists. How could they have jurisdiction over the Son of God? But they took jurisdiction. And he said, just like they do me, they're going to do y'all the same way. But what did he do? He said, you might kill me today, but you still don't have jurisdiction because I'm going to get up from death. I'm going to get up. I got jurisdiction. I'm free. I got jurisdiction. Whenever we're in the hands of the Most High, we have jurisdiction, man. We have jurisdiction. He made us free. And he gave us God-given rights. So you see how no other people have the right to come and take your God-given rights to be free away from you? That's what you must learn. And then when you do, you'll be able to do the things to challenge people's jurisdiction, to say, hey, I know I got God-given rights, and I know you're no better than me. So when you come to tell me I got to follow your laws, you are a terrorist, and I need to defend myself against you. As simple as that, man. And if those terrorists come with guns, you can't defend yourself. You can't go out here and start fighting. Police, they got all those weapons and stuff. I mean, we can't get them off our land now. It's going to take the Most High. So what you got to do is defeat them in the legal system, right? Because it's set in stone for us. It's set in stone for us. All we have to do is follow this legal system, and we'll put them in that place, and they'll say they are they are the sons of the living God. As we're gathering together, they're going to say that. They're going to say they are the sons and daughters of the living God. Because we just going to you're supposed to take your God-given rights back. The kingdom suffer violence, but the violence take it by force. Let's go here.
Be clear enough that you don't have to stop and think, but must always be in control of this plan. The first appearance you make in court is your arraignment, in which the purpose is for the court to present the charges and find out how you intend to react, by standing up for your rights or being fearful and an easy target. During this proceeding, the judge will inform you of the charges against you and attempt to get you to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. A third choice is no contest, which is essentially pleading guilty without admitting guilt. Be careful, however, because as soon as you open your mouth to enter a plea, you have given them formal jurisdiction over you.
Now, this is what the police officers count on. They count on you going down when they lock you up and the judge come out and he said, how do you plead? Or he said, I'm going to make a plea for you. How do you plead? Not guilty. You're not supposed to do that. That's not the argument. The argument is, how did they get jurisdiction over a free man? How did one free man take authority over another free man? Okay? Let's listen.
If you intend to follow our procedure and win, you must not enter a plea. The judge's first question to you should be something to the effect of, do you understand the charges against you? Or it might be, how do you intend to plead? You must say no, you do not understand, or you cannot enter a plea until you get some questions answered. The judge will probably be irritated and try to intimidate you. You must politely state that you need to have some questions answered before you can enter your plea. Tell him that you do not understand the nature and cause of the action against you. Once the judge has agreed to answer your questions, your first question will be, is this going to...
Now, see, when he said you do not understand, that means two things. That means I don't understand this legalese stuff you put together and called it law, because it goes against the Constitution. It goes against godly rights. It goes against common law. It goes against human rights and indigenous rights. And the only way those people can be government and take power, they have to do it as terrorists, or you have to give them jurisdiction. Now, if they do it as terrorists and don't kill you, and you get an opportunity to publicize that they took false jurisdiction over you because you're not a citizen, you can't be, Dred Scott, when you know all this, then you have become awake. And that's what they are against, black people becoming awake, because they hear people like me, the Moors, and indigenous, rights of indigenous, Dane Calloway, and all those people that's putting out videos, they know we know. So if it ever becomes a challenge to where they don't have jurisdiction, if it ever a bunch of people come together and challenge their jurisdiction, then they'll have to stop, because the next step would be that they are terrorists. They have to admit that not uh, keeping their oath of office to protect the Constitution would be an act of terrorism. All of that stuff is going to automatically fall in place. So they can't let us, you know, their thing is to detour onesies and twosies, and that way that'll detour a whole crowd. You go back home and say, yeah, they locked me. You like, man, somebody gonna say, I thought you said you knew the law. They didn't have no rights over you. They didn't have no power over you. Yeah, man, I just didn't want to deal with it. I just wanted to get on out of jail, so I just went on and paid the fine. You know what I mean? So that detoured all his friends right there. Everybody that's watching the Israelites, that discouraged all of us to see him go to jail like that. But now, he's got a case still. He's got a case. He got a case where they probably can get $50,000 or $60,000 a piece, everybody that went to jail for false arrests. So, you know, because the video's out. So that means they couldn't confiscate the evidence. So it's out. So they probably going to settle with him out of court. But at least they held us off. They held us off and made us think that, hey, man, you can't mess with them people. Well, why is the video out? That's evidence. That's evidence that they locked people up for the First Amendment. And they didn't try to hide the evidence, so they planned on just letting them go. It was a decoy, a detour to detour us from righteousness. That's what this locking those guys up would do. Every time they lock us up, when they know we are challenging their jurisdiction, they plan to pay a settlement. But in the meanwhile, they're clearing up collateral damage, right? It's for collateral damage. Let's keep watching.
To be a civil action or a criminal action, and the nature and cause of the action against you. Once the judge has agreed to answer your questions, your first question will be, is this going to be a civil action or a criminal action? In the highly unlikely chance that the judge answered your question by saying it is a civil action, your response will be, thank you, Your Honor. Let the record reflect that this is a civil action. Your Honor, since this is a civil action, I make a motion to dismiss for lack of a sworn complaint by an injured party and no injured party is present. More likely,
you hear what he said? When the state brings charges against you, it's not accepted because they're not an injured party, because they are a corporation. You can't injure a corporation. A corporation is dead. It's an inanimate object. It don't have life. It can't talk. It can't think. It can't be harmed. And no third person can talk for a person bringing claim. No person can show up and say, hey, you know, I'm coming up here to stand up here and talk for my cousin. He didn't feel like coming, but you injured him. He injured him, and he told me about it. I'm gonna come and represent him. No, a third person can't represent you in your claim against another person. You got to show up. So this is what he's saying. He's saying dismiss the case because nobody's standing here saying with a sworn statement, affidavit, charges, saying that I injured them in some kind of way. Listen.
The judge has stated that this is a criminal action, so you respond, thank you, Your Honor. Let the record of this court then show that this action against me is a criminal action. Now I have another question. Your Honor, the Constitution grants this court two different criminal jurisdictions. One is a criminal jurisdiction under the common law, and the other is a criminal jurisdiction under admiralty or military tribunal venue from Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the Constitution.
Okay, so that's what they trying us under. The military, they saying acting like they got us on slave ships. And what? We ain't on land, so no jurisdiction. We in neutral waters. They acting like they got us in neutral waters, and they got us on slave ships. So they don't need no jurisdiction in neutral water, right? Ain't nobody, admiralty law. We are common law because we are free. We are aboriginal. So they must deal with us. We must go to a court of our peers, right? a court and jury of our peers. That's who we go before. And they say, hey, the United States, they got these charges. They say you violated them. How do you plead? You say, well, okay, no, I didn't because they did such and such to me, and that's how it went down. And they did. And they came over and just walked over and violated their oath of office and took and searched us and handcuffed us, took us, kidnapped us, and they violated their oath of office. They were supposed to be protecting that's against our constitutional rights. And so then our court, that Title III court, goes back to the Edomites and said, this is what your people did. We got witnesses. So instead of us violating their law, they violated international law. They violated the law between us and them, which is the Constitution saying that they wouldn't. We're the indigenous people, and we not subject to their will, none of their laws. That's what the Constitution says, because we're not their citizens. And we're gonna move on, man.
Which of these two criminal jurisdictions does the court intend to try me? Don't panic if you don't get the article, section, and clause. You'll have them down by the time you have practiced. But if you are afraid of getting it wrong, it would be wise to have some brief notes with that clause number in it. If the judge gives a specific answer, you will again say, thank you, Your Honor. Let the record of this court then show that this action against me is a criminal action under whichever jurisdiction he replied. However, don't expect an easy answer to that question, as you have just exposed the court's fraud. The truth is that they are acting under a military tribunal of which they have no right to use with you. But the judge can't say that, and it can't say common law, because if he does, you will make a motion to have the case dismissed because there is no sworn complaint by an injured party and no injured party present, exactly like you did if he said it was a civil action. When you protest that there is no injured party, if the judge is silly enough to say that the state of whatever state you're in is the injured party, then say, Your Honor, I make a motion that this case be dismissed. We are in the wrong court. If the state is a party to the case, they cannot also be the judge and prosecutors. This case needs to be transferred to federal court or be dismissed. More likely, the judge will try to avoid answering and will tell you to get a licensed attorney for such legal advice. Your response will be, thank you, Your Honor, but I don't think you'd be violating your oath of office if you did your duty under the Constitution.
You hear what he said? Violating your oath of office. So they can violate, and that is a crime. The police committed a crime when they locked up those Israelites. Like they thought that they were really U.S. citizens. They know who, like Whoopi Goldberg said, you can look at me and tell who I am. I'm not a part of your citizenship. And you know the Dred Scott. You know all of that. They know all of that, man. They know that before they joined the police force. That's why they joined it, so they can violate us and get away with it, right? They standing for their race, man. Let's keep listening.
Such legal advice. Your response will be, thank you, Your Honor, but I don't think you'd be violating your oath of office if you did your duty under the Constitution.
He has a duty under the Constitution. Now, this is Edomite telling you what the Constitution and all of that mean. It ain't no absent-minded Israelite wanting to be a king, No, this is an Edomite telling you what the Constitution means.
You see, I am not seeking legal advice. What I want to know is legal intent. I have the right to appear as myself in my own person without a licensed attorney. And in order
Let's go back and listen. I think, I might.
The injured party then say, Your Honor, I make a motion that this case be dismissed. We are in the wrong court. If the state is a party to the case, they cannot also be the judge and prosecutors. This case needs to be transferred to federal court or be dismissed.
You hear what he said about the state? The state cannot be a party because it's not real. The state is not real. The state is on paper. In order to bring claim against somebody, say somebody injured you, they got to be two living parties, okay?
More likely, the judge will try to avoid answering and will tell you to get a licensed attorney for such legal advice. Your response will be, thank you, Your Honor, but I don't think you'd be violating your oath of office if you did your duty under the Constitution. You see, I am not seeking legal advice. What I want to know is legal intent. I have the right to appear as myself in my own person without a licensed attorney, and in order to intelligently defend myself, I have to know the jurisdiction that this court is operating under, because the rules of criminal procedure under a common law jurisdiction are very different from the rules of criminal procedure under an admiralty or military tribunal. I need to know under which jurisdiction you intend to try me in order for me to proceed with this case. The Sixth Amendment grants me the right to know the jurisdiction being applied, and it grants you the duty to inform me. And I don't think you'd be violating your oath.
You see that? The Sixth Amendment give them, they have a duty to explain that law to you, tell you where you can go find it to study it. If you're going to defend yourself, like he said, and they got to give you time to catch up. They got to give you time. I don't care if it's a year. They give them lawyers and them legal and prosecutors time to put their case together. So he's supposed to give you time to put your case together to defend yourself and give you the right procedures to use. I mean, if you don't know.
Of office for doing your duty. The rules of criminal procedure under an admiralty or military tribunal. I need to know under which jurisdiction you intend to try me in order for me to proceed with this case. The Sixth Amendment grants me the right to know the jurisdiction being applied, and it grants you the duty to inform me, and I don't think you'd be violating your oath of office for doing your duty. Therefore, will you please answer the question so this court is properly identified?
See, they can't move no further. They can't move further until they tell you who gave them jurisdiction over a free man, aboriginal man. Who gave one free man the right to go down and police another man's house and where he walk and live and tell him how he's supposed to, where he can cross the street at, how fast he can drive his car, how loud he can talk, where he can stand. These are not his streets. If this land didn't belong to nobody and they can come over here and kill us and take it and say, hey, y'all don't own no land, well, they can't own it either. They can't own it either. They can't put no fences and walls up and say this is ours. No, they can't do that. If that's the case, they got to leave and give us all our stuff back.
The judge still responds by telling you to get an attorney. Your answer will be, thank you, Your Honor. Let the record of this court then show that I, your name here, the accused in this criminal action, has asked the court to divulge the nature and cause of the accusation upon the authority of the Sixth Amendment, and that this court has failed in its duty to inform me of the nature and cause of the action. Furthermore, let the record also show that this court intends to bring this action against me under a secret jurisdiction known only to licensed attorneys. At this point, the judge might claim that this is a statutory jurisdiction under the statutes of the state of whatever state you're in. If he does so, your next statement is, thank you, Your Honor. Let the record of this court then show that it intends to conduct a criminal action against me under a statutory jurisdiction. But, Your Honor, that raises another question. I have never heard of such a thing as a criminal action under statutory jurisdiction, and there is no such jurisdiction established in the Constitution. I would be happy to accept this, Your Honor.
Now, how many of you knew that statutory? They tell you that you're under statutory jurisdiction. Yeah, and it's not in the Constitution. It's only two jurisdictions that the Constitution recognizes, and that's common law jurisdiction and civil law jurisdiction, right? Okay.
Honor, if you could please tell me where I can find the published rules of criminal procedure under a statutory jurisdiction, and where this nature, cause, and jurisdiction information exists. It is imperative that I have the published rules of procedure so that I may conduct a fair defense and a fair trial. Now keep in mind the judge made up this jurisdiction. There is no granted authority for a statutory jurisdiction and no published rules. But don't expect him to tell you that. He must either lie, dismiss the case, or unlawfully enter a plea on your behalf.
Now, how many judges have did what he just said? Dismissed the case on your behalf when the police came in here, brought you in there after violating their oath of office and your rights, your common rights, your God-given rights as a human being and kidnapped you and brought you in by gunpoint, threats of gun violence on you, or physical violence on you. Like that guy walked up and said, in that video, he said, "You threatening me with physical violence?" He said, "Yeah, if you touch me and my stuff, I'm gonna put my hands on you. You put your hands on me, I'm putting my hands on you." He went and got the police officer, and he was just probably the supervisor of security around the hub down there, that bus hub, right? Okay.
For cases, he might even threaten you with contempt of court. If he threatens contempt, say, "Your Honor, I do not wish to be held in contempt. I am simply trying to exercise my Sixth Amendment right that you disclose the nature and cause of the charges against me. I can provide court citations that show that the exercise of a constitutional right cannot be converted into a crime. Please either identify the properly established jurisdiction, or I make a motion that you dismiss the case against me."
You hear what he said? Yo, you operating and using your constitutional rights. It trumps all of the UCC codes. You can't stand here. You can't talk loud. This is private property when it's public property. All of that, man. We the police, we got the jurisdiction over you. It trumps all of that. The Constitution trumps all of that, man. They're supposed to be making sure nobody comes and violate our God-given freedom. Unalienable, inheritable rights, what our ancestors left us, the rights to be on this land with nobody to come over here and make us be their slaves. That's human rights, man.
Also unlikely, but still possible, is that the judge will tell the truth when you ask under which criminal jurisdiction you were being tried, and will tell you that it is an admiralty jurisdiction.
No
If
way.
this happens, you would respond, "Thank you, Your Honor. Let the record of this court then show that this court intends to proceed with a criminal action against me," your name here, "as a condition of contract under an admiralty jurisdiction as a military tribunal under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. However, Your Honor, you must realize that you have no such jurisdiction without also having a valid international contract in dispute. I am not aware of having entered into any international contracts, so I deny that any such contract exists. Will you please instruct the prosecuting attorney to inform this court if there is such a contract, and if so, to place it into evidence and explain how I am party to it and am compelled to perform under it? If the prosecution cannot do so, Your Honor, I make a motion that this case against me be dismissed."
So if they can't legally by way of Constitution and not violating us, if they got to use the UCC codes to bring a charge against us, then they don't have a charge. It's non and void. All of the UCC codes are non and void when you claim your status, your proper status, and your proper person. I'm an Israelite, I'm a Moor. I am not a United States citizen. I can't be because of Dred Scott. The Dred Scott case set precedent. They said no indigenous people and no ex-slave could be a United States citizen because we think that's prejudice. No, they're saying how can you be our citizen when you are free? You are an indigenous people of another nation. You can't be a citizen of the United States if you claim citizenship of another nation. If you just claim citizenship, then that voids and disconnect you from being a United States citizen, even though you ain't one, you can't be. They tell you you are, and they treat you like you Jim Crow's prisoners. They deal with you on the Jim Crow level, right? So I think that's it on this. Let's see.
Of course, if at any time your case is dismissed, make your pronouncement. "Thank you, Your Honor. Let the record of this court reflect that case number blah 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 against your name here has been dismissed. Now leave quietly, save your gloating for outside of the courtroom." And if
Let's see.
at any time you sense a good opportunity to make a motion for dismissal, make it, even if it wasn't part of your prepared script. You need to be flexible and jump on any opportunities that are presented to you.
All right. And those opportunities would be anything that the judge said to prove that he's violating this oath of office. You can ask him to dismiss. If he's trying to if he's trying to hold you to a UCC code, you dismiss it and tell him why. He can't violate his oath of office. He cannot do that. He's not supposed to be a lawyer. So if you see him start, going against you and don't have common law and not common law, you challenging this jurisdiction. The main thing is you never let him rule against you, because you never argue the charges that he's bringing against you. You ignore all those charges and challenge his jurisdiction. You learn how to do it through what this frog is just saying, and you practice it. You know, go look up those laws in the Constitution, look up those laws in the Peace and Friendship Treaty, rights of indigenous people, human rights, and all of that. They're saying the same thing. Another people can't come in and take charge or make a government and make people be their subjects and make laws that they make them keep it on by take them to jail and kill them. That's terrorism, and no other people will stand for it, and we shouldn't either. So basically, what we doing, we resisting the devil. You resist the devil on everything else with these people. But when it comes to learning your civics and learning how to resist them, now you see what the frog did also. That personality, excuse me, Your Honor, for the record, this I like to do this. I like if you would dismiss this for the record. Excuse me, very nicely. You got to do that to the police too. Why? Do you have to do that? You damn right. Because if that devil feel like he losing control of his slave, then what is he gonna do? He's gonna try to kill you. He's gonna railroad you and try to kill you, because you done made him mad talking crazy and you talking right. You talking right and you talking crazy. Now he's the devil. He's gonna get mad and hurt you. And they're gonna pat him on his back and take him to McDonald's. Right? Okay. All praises to the Most High. We're gonna continue to challenge these people in this jurisdiction. But remember, you can't wrestle with these devils, man. You can't wrestle with them. You gotta be just like that lawyer was talking to that judge. Stand on your square, but remember, you don't want to make the devil mad, right? You want him to say, "Well, let him go. He's right. He's right. He knew his that boy know his. Who taught that boy that stuff? Let him go. He's right." Okay, that's what you want. That's all you want. That's all you want. All right, all praise to the Most High. In Christ. Bless.